Hi guys. So this is late today just because I had a lot of processing to do. Today being Father's Day and just had kind of a tough, unexpectedly tough day. Kind of like few the past 19 Father's Days I've had. I guess it would be more like 17 Father's Days I've had, all that I can remember. My mom and I kind of would avoid it. We would celebrate and like get a small gift for my grandpa, but I guess more in protection for my emotions, we just didn't give it much attention. Normally we'd go to the lake and kind of just, I don't know, I was young and I never really felt, I was confused, but I didn't really like understand it. And then last year, I guess the past 5 years, 5 years ago, my dad passed away, and it was in spring, but I didn't find out until a week before Father's Day. And it was confusing. Because you don't really know how to feel about someone you don't remember, or about someone who for everyone else is like this constant in their life, and not for his choice, but for many different factors, that wasn't the same in my life. And it was just really I remember like exactly the moment that my mom told me, and I was like, I don't think I've ever had a time that like didn't think it was possible your mind could just go like just silent, and like it did. Like I was speechless. I didn't know what to feel, what to do. Luckily, I had just come back from my first mission trip, so I had some people that I really felt like I could reach out to, and I had spirit in me more than I'd had recognized before. I was closer to my faith, and then kind of ups and downs the past few years. I don't really remember Father's Day the year after that or the year after that, but last year, or the year after that, I guess. But last year, things started to change. I turned 18. My mom let me follow my siblings if I wanted to on social media. I followed my sisters, and I'd been following some cousins, and got in contact. Actually, I was reached out by it, and so last year at this time I had this whole different feeling of emotion regarding it, and I guess this whole family that he tied me to, and I didn't really understand it still. But it was one step. I went out and I bought a Father's Day card that really like stood out to me, and it's still on my shelf. I haven't written in it. I've redone my room multiple times, haven't gotten rid of it. It's still there. I don't know who I would have sent it to. I don't even know if he's buried or has cremated. I don't know. Maybe that's the next step for me, is to go there. But, you know, today was just way different. Last night I got hit pretty hard with, I guess, a joy and like, not a joy, a gratefulness that I felt like for the first time I had a father to celebrate today. And though he wasn't with me, he was with me more than I'd ever felt before, because I've been hearing stories about him and how fearless he was and how loving he was. And that word fearless, every time we talk about him, that's what I think about on these stories of him being like 8 years old and having a motorcycle and like jumping dunes, and it just brings a smile to my face, because all I imagined were, I don't even think I imagined a human being being my father, but more of like this thing that was like just the one negative side, and like there was nothing else to him. I guess I just like wanted to think that, because, or like, no one told me that's how he was. So like I don't blame that on my mom or on anybody. I just kind of like, I guess I grew into that assumption because it felt better for me to hate this person I didn't have in my life, or dislike, or just not even think about this person I didn't have in my life, so I wouldn't feel the grief of not having him, or the grief of when I lost him. And then when I lost him, I lost the chance of ever getting to, like, can you imagine not being able to look into your dad's eyes? Because I never get to. Or just like get a hug. You really don't like realize how much those things mean until the chance of ever having it is gone. And I know that there are people out there that have so much worse situations than me. And even like for my siblings, it was so much harder for them, or a different kind of pain, because they lost someone that they were actively around. And I just like, I almost have so much hurt in me for not feeling that. Like, for 18 years, I didn't love someone that brought me into this world. Like, how cruel is that for me to be? And I just, it's so, I just can't grasp I can't grasp it. It just, so I'd always turn Father's Day into like, oh, I have this great grandpa. And I do. I have a great grandpa, my papa. But now I have two. Now I have a grandfather that is amazing and put Christmas gifts out for me under the tree every year that I didn't even know him, and put my name on ornaments with the rest of the families, and counted me when he told people about me or his grandkids. Like, for 19 years, I had this whole family that thought of me and loved me, and I just didn't even give them like a second thought. And that's no one's fault, but it makes me feel like garbage. It's just so confusing of how, like, I was gonna talk about church today too. Okay. Well, I kind of decided today, last night, I wrote this kind of like a letter to him, and I shared it, and thanking him that I get to know him now through the people that knew him better than anybody. And I get to hear all the amazing ways that he like uplifted their life. And honestly, it makes me so happy. And at the same time though, like, it hurts. And I want to know who he was. But at the same time, it's so hard because then I'm learning all the things that I didn't get to have with him or with anyone. Because, like, some people who have an absentee father or lost their father, or they have, like, their parents remarry and they have a step parent, or they get to see their father, or they have two moms. And so, like, they have someone else there, but, like, I just, it's just, I feel so alone. And I know I'm not, because I have God and I have amazing friends. But, like, on days like these, where on Christmas, on days like these, like, when people are getting together and celebrating, like, sometimes I feel like I either don't have the right to celebrate, or I should be celebrating, but I don't feel like celebrating. It's just never hit me this hard before on Father's Day. But this morning I took my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side to church with me, and the lead pastor spoke and continued the talk on like the series on like how to win. And so the first one was to stretch yourself in solitude, or no, yeah, solitude. The second was fasting and like spending time with God, and which are both, fasting and solitude is sacrificing and giving time to God. And the stretch is really like the whole series, but this week was like your thinking in your mind. It was funny, he labeled it fixin' or fixing, and he made the comment that if you're not from this area, if you're from like the Northeast, and you wouldn't understand it because fixin' isn't a word in your vocabulary, but if you're fixin' to do something, it's in the future. But if I'm fixing something, like doing it, I'm doing it now. And with your thinking, you want to be fixing it. So I don't have my Bible with me, so I'm gonna have to use my phone. But we had Philippians 4, don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. I like highlighted that. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about the things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. Rereading that, it really stands out. Have you ever heard the saying, the out of mind is the devil's playground? Is basically like, we need to grasp control on our thoughts. And this is one of the key things I've had to do with my whole mental health, like changing my life, and with my faith, and with how I'm treating others, and like my life mission. Thinking is the process of using one's mind to consider or reason about something with God. We read Mark 12:30. Mark. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. So this kind of reflects into Deuteronomy 6 when they gave the commandments, love your God with all your, love your God, Lord, I just said Gord. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And in this verse, Mark 12:30, Jesus is speaking to, I think, his disciples, and he's saying that if you had to sum everything, the most important commandment, which all of them stem from, is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And in that, he adds mind, because our mind is so powerful. Our mind is our like control board. It's our controlling center. It is what like stems our emotions, and if we can get control in our mind, we can get control in our emotions and on our heart. And it's really, really, really hard. And it's not ever going to just happen with a snap. And then we did Philippians 2:5. In your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. Again, that's bringing up mindset. Your mindset, your thoughts, your mind, your just all of your thinking is how you think is going to drive who you are and how you live and how you speak and how you show your faith and how you feel and relate with God. Everything comes out of that thinking. And we think that, again, thinking is uncontrolled, but it's not. It's just untamed. You have to tame it, and taming takes time. Then we did Proverbs 23:7. For he is the kind of person who is always thinking about the cost. This just all brings up that thinking, the mind of Christ. So the 3 points on learning how to grasp control of your mind is first, guard your thinking, and then govern your thinking, and then grow your thinking. So we guard our materials more than we guard our minds. And our materials are things that come and go, but our minds never leave us. Our minds, we live in our minds. You're in a coma, you're in your mind. You are in your mind. You can't speak, you're in your mind. Like, everything happens up here if nothing is happening everywhere else. Like, it all comes from here. And it's just like, okay, I don't know if this is valid, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like, you've heard of people have like heart transplants and like transplants of organs and everything. Arm transplants, they're not very common, but at least they happen in Grey's Anatomy. But have you ever heard of someone saying like a brain transplant? Like, your mind your mind does not change. Your mind doesn't leave you. Your bones may function differently. Your muscles may have to rework themselves. You may have a different person's heart in your body, but your soul and your mind never change. I mean, they never like go somewhere else. You will always have the same mind, but you can change it. If that makes sense. Okay, I just contradicted what I said, but our brains are our biggest enemies. They can hurt you more than any person, any weapon, anything physically, or anything anyone says. Like, your mind is your biggest pain, and you become what you think. Have you ever thought, like, when you're the most scared or the most hurt or the most feared, like, it's all in your head. Like, I need to stop saying like, but everything is in your head. Every thought captivate every thought and make it in line and honor God. Not saying like every thought you has to be about God, but your goal, just like your goal is to live a perfect life, you'll never get there, but your goal is to live a perfect life. Goal is for your thoughts to honor God. And Okay, I want to read Proverbs 4. I'm on Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard, oh my goodness. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I think that was supposed to say mind and it was translated. Well, that speaks for itself. When you're guarding your heart, honestly, like your heart, a lot of it is in your head. And that is guarding your head too. That's like they are one. They're just separate. Okay, 2 Corinthians. I crack myself up sometimes. My goodness, I have short thumbs. Okay. 10:5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Highlight. Oh, dang it. Okay. I'm reading this again. We demolish arguments and pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Take captive of every action you make, of every thought, of every step you take, of every word you read, of every word you write, say, everything. Take it captive and align it with God. Make it obedient to Christ. And to your purpose here is to honor and love your God and to love his people. Okay. Govern your thinking, which is the second point. Let's see, is Romans, goodness, are you gonna let me?
Second.
Oh, it's gonna read to me. Look at that. Okay. Romans. There you are. 8. Romans 8:5. Those who live according to the flesh have their mind set on what the flesh desires, but those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. That speaks for itself. If you are living in the flesh, you're living on this earth in the moment, not even in the moment. You're living in a materialistic life. That doesn't mean you can't want to make money. You can't want to have things. But if that is your priority over God, then that will be your priority in your life. And God should always be your priority. To regulate, so governing means to regulate or to set boundaries. We're getting settings, like changing the settings of our thinking, and it's going to take time to train it to do that, but that is your setting up how your mindset is going to be. You want to have a life and peace in your mind and in your heart and in your life from that. You're making, like, you have authority over your troubles. Your troubles come from your thinking, and you're giving authority to yourself to stop those troubles. Can you imagine experiencing even half the pain you felt in your life? Like today, if I could separate myself, I'm training myself, but if I could, heck yes, I would. And that's why I am. I'm taking guarding, governing, and growing. And I'm going to put those into practice and change my way of thinking. And I'll explain a way I've done this, how it's helped me after I finish this last point. Grow your thinking. So we're going to do Luke. I hate when you cry because then you get all stuffy and it doesn't go away when you stop crying. Luke 2:52. My goodness. And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. He grew in wisdom and stature because this is literally God. So in this Luke 2, in this passage in the story, Jesus is 12 years old and they lose him for a couple days. And they find him in the church asking questions. And he is growing in wisdom and stature. Grow as change your thinking and go into depth of learning. Like, knowledge is in your mind. Your thinking is not just in the moment, but it's things you study and know and learn and grow. You want to grow your mind. The more you learn, honestly, I'm sure there's a study that says that your brain actually grows, or the connections or whatever. That's why we're a heck of a lot smarter than a baby. Yeah. Okay, Romans. That was probably a really bad point to make, but it's fine. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve that what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Renewing your mind. You're baptizing your mind. You are washing away the past and creating a new, clean, and comforting place for you to rest. You can literally close your eyes and just be in your mind. And that should be your happy place. That should be a comforting place to be. I can tell you, this past year, my mind has been living hell to be in. I can't go to sleep. I could not go to sleep at night because closing my eyes and being in my mind hurt me more than staying up and staring and not eating and just staring at the ceiling. Being in my mind hurt me. And then I was able to renew my mind. Okay, the last verse is Colossians. There's so many number ones that I didn't know. Colossians 3:2. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. Set your mind on what really matters. Fix your thinking to God. Thoughts are your source of life. Thoughts are the source of what you want to do, of who you want to be with, of who you trust and don't trust. It all comes out of here. And they're connected. And it's just, I just have to take a breath because this is like intense feeling for me. Okay. You're on a journey with Christ. Your life is a constant journey with Christ and with Satan and with everything in between. And God wins. God always wins. And you must follow. You want to be on the winning team, right? You want to take your thinking to a whole nother level of thinking. Don't be that surface level, but be deeper. You want to have intentional thinking. You want to be immersed in the environment. If you are being sucked into what's around you, take yourself out and go walk outside. Go to somewhere peaceful once a week, once a day. Go to your backyard, sit on your porch, go to your room, turn everything off, and just lay there and think and surround yourself with godly presence. Go to the church if that's what you need to feel. Come to me. Come to someone. Not that I'm always the best person to go to, but go to somebody. Immerse yourself with the things of God. Time in God's presence builds your relationship with God. You are not going to have a great relationship with some friend if you don't talk to them, if you don't go see them, if you're not around them, or if it's a long distance, if you're not talking. You're not going to have that relationship. Being with Christ, if you need to literally write letters to Christ, then think that can be writing down your thoughts. Write down your thoughts and see how they change over time. Write down when you have a negative thought. Pray it away. So I want to share that one of the hardest things for me. So a lot of you know about kind of what I've been through this year. I just suffered a lot of loss and trauma that someone my age, someone any age, should not ever have to go through all at once too. And I crumbled. I had faith, but it wasn't strong enough to support me. My faith, not God, wasn't strong enough. My faith wasn't there enough for me. And I crumbled. I I broke. I have never felt, until you feel a pain like this, like I honestly felt like my heart, I can feel it just thinking about it, my heart like coming out of my chest, ripping apart, like it's so unbelievable the pain that loss, heartbreak, trauma, confusion, like all of this can like lead to. I honestly didn't want to survive it, because it was the worst thing. I didn't think that there was something worse I could feel. And if there was, I wasn't going to get any better. I prayed and prayed, and I was like, this is hopeless. That was what I felt when I was praying. And that's what I thought. I thought that I was worthless. I thought that my life was meaningless. I thought that my dreams were over, and that meant my life was over. I thought that losing love was the loss of me. I thought that I convinced myself my grandma was gonna die. I thought that overcoming this was just one more battle I didn't want to fight. And being 18, 19, and literally like not wanting to continue your life is one of the hardest things. I am not going to say I know how it is for other people. I never planned to hurt myself. I never hurt myself. But let me tell you, wanting to just be done is one of the most hopeless, there's a point between pain and where the pain is so bad you're almost numb, but not in a good way. That's where I was. I was throwing it in. I threw in the towel. I said, I'm going to feel this pain for the rest of my life, and I'm not ready. I don't want it, and it's never going to get better. I've tried everything. I'm just done, and I threw it in, and day by day went by, and life is about, if I lived to be even 60, I would have 40 more years of this pain. This numb pain and lack of understanding, and this just weight. And it was so much harder because it was like a battle I could fight, but I didn't want to fight because it didn't feel, I didn't think it would ever be resolved. I could win because it was a battle between me and myself, versus if I had a physical disease, I have a disease, I have an illness, but if I had a tumor, if I had a broken arm, if I had physical cancer, that is something tangible I can fight. And if it beats me, everyone, there's a difference versus this thing that they can't see. They can't see this monster inside of me attacking me and ripping apart my insides from the inside. They can't see they can't feel what I feel, and there's no test to say, yep, that's exactly what she is. Yep, she has I don't even know what that means, but there's nothing that could prove. Psychology is one of the most confusing things that I've had to undergo, this year. And there's no guarantee. You can always be misdiagnosed. I was. And then I was bullied for it. And that moment, I decided I didn't understand why I was dying. I was dying the slowest, that's what it felt like, the slowest death I could die. And I was just get me there faster, just end it, just finish my pain. And it wasn't even I don't want the life, it's I don't want the pain. And I don't see any way of it ending. I'd been trying medications. It wasn't helping. I'd seen a therapist before. I hated it. And it just, nothing was helping. And it just kept getting worse. And I didn't understand why these people I've known so long, or even friends I'd had, or even just people that I knew, chose to judge my situation and make critical statements about me instead of praying for me, instead of hoping that I could get there, because just one more prayer. What if it was just one more prayer that would just boost me over the edge and help me? But no, they just kept hitting me down, and it just kept hurting. And there was a moment that I found that Christ revealed himself to me and everything changed. And it was a long process. It was not a flip of the switch, but there was a moment when it started. And I found a medication that works well with me. Not with my bank account, but works well with me. I found a therapist I love. I found a support. I took courses, and I just found a way of life that was manageable and was livable. And I found my reason. And from reading a couple books, I found my reason. And from signs, so many signs hit me all the time, reassuring me that this is my purpose here on earth, my mission is to love. I am traveling across the world to live in foreign countries and travel just to love people and to go village to village and share laughs. I don't have to speak the same language to give someone a hug, to learn about their family just by them showing me grace. And that is my purpose, is to go spread God's love and to receive it. Because when I'm spreading that, and this was all changing in my thinking, but it all started when I decided that, God wants us to love people. He doesn't want us to judge people. And He wants us to forgive. And I reached out to people I had beef with, and I asked for forgiveness, or I said I forgave them. Not everyone was willing to meet with me. And I pray that they have God and find them and fill them and heal that part of them that is still broken. But God wants us to forgive, to take each other in and to love one another, despite our flaws, despite our fears, despite our shame, despite everything, despite our guilt, despite what we've done. He wants us to love people. And I started by forgiving. And then I spent 4 months. It took me 4 months to get this to become more habit. And it's still not habit yet. It's a setting I'm trying to train my brain to do, is when I start to make a judgment about someone, I change it into a prayer. Or when I start to get really mad at someone, I change that into, how can I pray for them? How they may be going through pain, and that's why they're acting like this. I don't know why. I don't live their life. I'm not in their shoes. There is a reason that we will never understand all of them. There's a reason for everything, and people will never be able to understand the whole purpose why until we get to heaven. And so our purpose on this earth, my purpose, is to go spread love and go share love. And that's what my plan is I am going to take the love that I feel from God. I'm going to finish up some school. I'm going to get my yoga certification, because it's something I love. It's something that really helped me so that I can take this with me, and I'm gonna go. I'm dropping everything, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna find love. And that doesn't mean romance. That means God. That means virtue and care and grace and peace. And all of this is because of something I changed up here and in here. This, honestly, I don't think this ever changes. I think it's what we think of it. I think that I just realized that my heart is so full of love. I love, like, I got myself into a hard situation because I loved someone too much, more than they loved me, or in a different way. And I just am overflowing with love that it's like I just need to love someone. And I connect so easily with people and love them so easily. I sound like I'm gloating on myself, and I'm not at all. It could be a flaw, but it doesn't have to be. And so I want to share that. And in return, when you love someone, the chances of them loving you back, not romantically, but giving you grace and giving you care and virtue and genuine just joy, is so high. So that's what my mission is, and that's what my plan is. And if anyone wants to join me, but find your mission. And it all starts with guarding your heart and guarding your soul and guarding your mind. That doesn't mean closing it off. It's just like a filtration system. Guard from the things that will intoxicate and contaminate your mind and your heart, and govern it and turn it into a growing opportunity to grow with yourself, with God, and your own mind, and just find peace in that, and find your mission, find your love, because that's what mine is, but find yours. Apologize for crying and for how long this got, and I hope you all had a great Father's Day. If you are like me and don't know or have lost your father, just know that you always have a father, that the one true Father with you. And know that I'm here with you, that I understand a similar situation, or I have circumstances that change how I feel too. And if you have two moms, if you have two dads, if you have any other situation, you're out of contact with your dad, you are a father without children, you've lost your children, you are a father out of contact with their kids, know that God will bring you back together. Just keep praying, keep that persistence with God, and work on your heart and your mind and thinking, and I promise you it will change into the way you show on to others, and they will notice. So thank you all. I love you all so much, and good night.